Welcome to the Business Information Buffet Podcast, also known as the BIB Podcast, where everybody eats. The BIB Podcast is brought to you by the College of Southern Nevada's Small Business Entrepreneurship Development, powered by CSN Blackstone Launchpad. Are you ready to eat? Because this is where everybody eats. Welcome to the Business Information Buffet Podcast, also known as the BIB Podcast, where everybody eats, powered by the Blackstone Launchpad here at the College of Southern Nevada. I am your host, Sean Torrey, with our other host, Cordon Allen, who is our Blackstone Launchpad student. And what is Blackstone Launchpad? So Blackstone Launchpad is a great company. They actually used to own in Las Vegas here. They used to own the Cosmopolitan. They built the Cosmopolitan. They sold it. But one of the things outside of Blackstone that they do, they have Blackstone initiatives at different colleges and universities. So CSN Blackstone, UNLV has Blackstone as well. And so this gentleman, he's a young student entrepreneur. He just graduated from CSN. Congratulations from him. And he's transferring over to UNLV, but he's still a part of the Blackstone Launchpad program, taking advantage and taking a great opportunity to be a part of Blackstone and getting all the resources he deserves, right? So, yeah, man, tell how about your experiences has been in Blackstone?
It's been great so far. Like you said, taking advantage of these resources and just happy to have the resources because, you know, a lot of people don't have the guidance or anything like that. So just happy to be able to take advantage of these resources, like you said.
For sure. And I think that's something that's beneficial, especially because when it comes to being a business owner, one of the things I do, one of the things that I realized that I didn't have the opportunity like you is I went focusing on the field and had I did business marketing, but I didn't really understand business.
The inside,
right? Inside of the licensures, state, city, also the taxes. Like those things, I didn't focus so much on.
Right. Those are the things that you have to know to even get started before you get started. A lot of people start and then learn about those.
Yes, because I wanted to make sure my niche was intact as far as what I was doing, and then the business side, I was like, oh, we'll figure it out. But and those are the hurdles that a lot of business owners go through, right? And I think what we're talking about today is going to be something that's very powerful, right? And today's episode is called Business Franchising and Gaming with a special guest. Now, this special guest comes all the way up the chain from the Nevada Systems of Higher Education, the Board of Regents, right? She serves from District 12 for the Board of Regents since November of 2018. She serves as a chair of Business, Finance, and Faculties Committee and the Ad Hoc Strategic Planning Committee. She previously served as the vice chair, board. And, she was on there from November 2021 to February 2022. So salute to you, ma'am. And then her and her husband were longtime business owners. They are longtime business entrepreneurs as well. Owners and ventures, including owning and managing residential investment properties, portfolio management for other real estate investors, operating a successful coffee shop, owning and operating franchise retail stores. She is most proud as a business owner when she gave back to her community. So she's actively involved in community service, which we are too. We're very much active in our community. She is a proud member and past president of the Boulder City Sunrise Rotary Club. She was appointed to the Boulder City Library District Board and Trustees and served several years as a chairperson. First of all, her resume is extensive, ladies and gentlemen. She told me to skip, but everyone out there, we're going to pay her respects, okay?
Gotta give the flowers.
Give the flowers while we have her here. Definitely, she was a student at the Southern Nevada since 5th grade, so came out here in the 5th grade. Family of Southern Nevada when her father was stationed at Nellis Air Force Base. Salute, because my father was at the Nellis Air Force Base as well. She graduated from Rancho High School. All right, salute to you. Graduated from the College of Southern Nevada, so we have an alum in the building. In '93, attending the University of Nevada, Las Vegas. We won't shame you. I went to University of Nevada, Reno. Go Wolfpack.
Go Rebels.
Go Rebels.
Go Rebs.
Go Rebels. After taking a break from school, starting a family, she returned to UNLV and earned her Bachelor's of Arts in Anthropology in 2001. And she has earned her Master's of Business Administration from WGU. Can we get give her a round of applause. Everyone, our state board of regent, but most importantly, a business owner, a wife, and a mother, Miss, respectfully, Amy Carvalho. Come on now.
Thank you. Thank
Come
you.
on. Did you like the introduction?
Yeah, that was good.
That was good. No, thank you so much for coming on the show. How are you feeling today?
Very good. Thank you for having me.
No, of course. Thank you so much for coming on the show. And I'm honored to have you here. I know that you represent you represent as one of our Board of Regents, making sure that our education, we get the education that we deserve. And we definitely appreciate you for that. I'm a doctorate student at UNLV. Even though, it's a mutual agreement that UNLV us have, but no, it's not, just kidding. But we definitely deeply appreciate you. But for this sake of the podcast, putting on the entrepreneurship hat. So Miss Amy is who we're talking to today. So thank you. And we're going to go into our first segment. So the first segment that we're going to talk about is the blueprint. And when we talk about the blueprint, we want to talk about how you got your start. How did you start your blueprint? And in this segment, it gives us more insight on our guests, how we ask you, how do you develop your blueprint for your business or your business structure? And for you all in particular, I know you all got into real estate. You and your husband got into retail storing and also owning franchising. Mm-hmm. So tell us about that. How did you both get your start? How did you get your start into owning franchising?
Okay. Well, first, I just want to say, again, thank you for having me.
Of course.
My start was, as you read, I mean, I come from working class beginnings. Yeah. Nothing was handed to us. Yeah. Nothing. We worked really hard in building up a real estate portfolio before we got into 7-Eleven. But at one point, we both decided we wanted to do something that was more of our own. Mm-hmm. And that meant business ownership and moving to that next level in just making sure that we have a support structure for us to be able to do that. So we started looking at businesses. Here in Southern Nevada, we looked at a few in other states. We were just open to anything. And the more we looked, the more we thought a franchise was a good option for us, partly because we didn't have that experience like you were talking about with knowing how to get that licensing and permitting and paying your taxes and all that. Mm-hmm. So we wanted to have some of that support. And we had learned that that there was a 7-Eleven for sale in Boulder City. And we lived in Henderson at the time. But we had some real estate in Boulder City. We really liked the community there. So my husband, Tom, called up the broker and said, hey, we're interested in this store. We talked to other 7-Eleven franchisees, some other people that we had known from business ownership, and we went forward with it. The Boulder City store, Boulder City doesn't have gaming. It's the only town in Nevada that doesn't have gaming. Really? And so that was our first foray into business ownership in the 7-Eleven franchise. And a lot of people told us, you're crazy for getting into a store with no gaming, because gaming is very lucrative in our stores. Right. But I would say that we learned how to actually operate our business and not worried about the gaming side of it right away. Right. And then after about 7 years of owning that store, we wanted to get into the gaming side of it, and we found a store that actually was a corporate store in Las Vegas that did have gaming. So we looked into that, and we got that store. We bought that store, and then about 5 years later, we bought our third store in Henderson. Okay. And that also had gaming. So that's kind of the trajectory of how that went. Mm-hmm. But we spent the first 7 years really learning how to operate this retail business. I mean, 7-Eleven is highly regulated from your health department. We sell alcohol and tobacco. It's a 24-hour business. You've got, even though you, as a business owner, you're your own boss.
Right.
But we all know that there's a lot of other people out there who are your boss, whether it's the taxing authorities, the licensing. I mean, you have to follow those rules and laws.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, you still have to follow those things. So we really learned the business through those first several years at that store.
I think that's interesting the way you put that, and I never thought of it that way. Even though you both, and you particularly you both were still business owners, you still report to someone. You still are a boss. Someone is still your boss. Never thought of it that way.
Yeah.
Would you say because you have your bachelor's in anthropology, you got your master's in business administration. Was your degree, your education, and your business and your work experience, did that contribute to the experience you gained purchasing, also real estate purchasing and operating the business as well?
Well, I mean, real estate's one thing, but you don't deal with people the way you do when you've got this 24-hour a day business.
Right.
Between all the employees that we managed, and the 1,200 to 1,500 customers that would come through our doors of each store every day. It's a people business. So I would say that my background in anthropology was very helpful with that.
Got you.
Learning how to manage relationships, and learning to cultivate relationships with people from all walks of life. I mean, you can imagine a 7-Eleven that everybody comes in.
Yeah.
If you're getting gas, if you just need to get a drink on your way to work or something, we learned the stories of so many different people. It was really an amazing experience. I mean, we could talk for hours about some of the crazy things that we dealt with, both good and bad.
Both good and bad, right.
But it's, at the end of the day, it's about relationships, and it's really a people business more than an inventory type business, I would say.
Got you. So, and thank you for giving us that perspective. Thank you for giving us your story and how you got into that. And we're actually thank you for giving us that blueprint. I have more questions for you, but we're gonna save those for the legend. But we're gonna pass this on to Mr. Cordon for Business on the Fly.
So Business on the Fly is we're gonna ask you questions. It's like either or, and you can choose both. But if you pick one or if you choose both, we just want you to explain why you chose that. And if you don't have an opinion on either one of them, you can just plead the fifth and explain why, though.
Okay.
So you have the first few questions.
Yes, I do. And the first few questions I have.
This is going to be fun.
It's going to be fun, yeah. So it's, as you know, it's either or plead the fifth.
Okay.
All right.
So it can't be both.
It can't. No.
Nope.
All right.
No. But
okay.
and if it can be plead the fifth, but you have to explain why.
Okay.
You can explain why.
All
On either whatever response, you have to explain why. So, in this one, I pretty much feel it's going to be a given, but we'll see. 7-Eleven or AM/PM?
7-Eleven all the way.
Why 7-Eleven?
Well, first I got to give them props. I mean, I spent almost 20 years with this organization.
Of course.
They did me right. So
They did you right.
But also, AM/PM is a different franchise model.
Right.
And one that I first, it has a much higher barrier to entry. AM/PM, you have to own your own or lease your own location. 7-Eleven, we didn't have to do that, which was something that was really appealing to us. Coming from a real estate background, you'd think that would be something we would want. But at the time, we were like, we want to focus on the business, not on the property, property management of the business. And AM/PM, you would have to either seek out your own location property, or buy another one. It's a lot more expensive than a 7-Eleven. A 7-Eleven can be very expensive based on the sales of the store, but it can be really much easier to get into.
I was actually looking into that, which is actually why I asked that question. Because I was like, what? It costs this much just to... But I guess depending on the franchise, there's different stipulations, right?
Right.
So,
And 7-Eleven is very different in terms of franchising. I mean, a lot of other franchises, it's, you know, you handle your own real estate, whether it's a leased or owned location, and you just kind of give the franchisor 5% royalty fee at the end of every month. 7-Eleven's not like that at all. It's they are involved with your business a lot more. They have their field consultants, they call them, come out to your store every week to talk to you about how you're doing with your business, representing the brand as well as they can. It's just a very different. Franchise model than others.
I grew up a 7-Eleven kid. 7-Eleven was right around the corner. I remember to where, and you probably remember when you used to you can get 4 gummy bear bags for $1.
Yeah,
Smack
those days are
Yeah,
gone.
those were the days. I used to love those. Next question for me, and this actually alludes because you answered this part of the stories about your story when it came to gaming. So gas station itself or gaming franchise?
Gaming.
Gaming?
They're interrelated in the convenience store world. You get people in the store with the gas. You make very little money on gas.
Very little money, okay.
Very little money. Gaming is lucrative. That's where the money is. You can make as much on your 5 machines that you might have inside your store as you can selling all of your inventory in your store in a year's time.
Okay.
I mean, I would say that's the majority of the reason why most people own 7-Elevens in Nevada or other convenience stores is gaming.
It's gaming. Makes sense. So then, and you alluded to this next one, when it comes to comparing with the franchising, but new build or remodeling your franchise for a franchise.
That's an interesting question because I've been involved in both.
Both, okay.
But I would say, since I have to choose, new build.
You would do a new build, okay.
I think so. We moved one of our stores from an old location to a new location. It was so nice having everything brand new. I mean, you get all those little quirks and equipment in the building and everything.
Right.
But it was so nice having the most up-to-date equipment. And
Yeah.
I mean, you don't know how rough it is when your fountain goes down or when your coffee machine goes down because it's old equipment. So it's nice having the new stuff.
Yeah, no, trust me. I bought a house, and last year I had so much money.
Yeah.
So much money I had to spend. I understand.
In-person service or self-checkout?
For convenience stores, it has to be in-person service.
Okay.
I mean, like I said, it's all about relationships. But 2, we have so many age-restricted products that you'd have to have a person right there no matter what anyway. That's almost disruptive if you tried to have like a self-checkout kind of thing. Because at least in our stores, and I would say that it's probably the industry average in Southern Nevada, 30% of your sales come from cigarettes. Whether you like that or not, that's just the fact of it. And you have to card for that.
Yeah.
So that would be a tough one to do in a self-checkout type of situation.
Do you think that convenience stores will ever move toward more self-checkout with everything becoming automated and things like that?
Yeah, I think that there will be some of that. And as a nation, cigarette use has gone down over the years, but it's still there. So you still have to have somebody check that or somehow deal with that. But there have been a lot of pilots around the country. I know 7-Eleven was working on it. Even Amazon was trying to get into the convenience store business with in a self-checkout type of environment.
I think I heard about that.
Yeah.
Amazon grocery store?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, and they're doing it like in apartment buildings on the ground floor, where you just have like convenience things, not necessarily your cigarettes or alcohol, but you know, you want to get those gummy bears or you know, a snack
so it's
or
the more the
something.
grab and goes.
Yeah, that kind of stuff. They have worked on that,
Okay.
and that is really interesting for the future of convenience, I would say, in general. But for me, right now in this instance, I would say it would be face to face.
Got you. Owner operator or absentee owner?
I don't know how you can even be in this business if you're absentee.
Okay.
You know, you would lose a lot of money. I'll just say that.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
And then the last one would be part-time franchisee or full-time?
Same thing. we were in our stores all the time.
All the time.
And I felt like that's the way we had to do it. I mean, there were times where, I will say, our daughter had cancer when she was in high school.
So sorry about
we
that.
had to, she's
good.
healthy. She's
come
doing wonderful now.
Yes.
She's a
That's
senior
for
in
that. That
college.
applies to
So
that,
yes, great for her and great for us. And we did have to take a little bit of, we were still in the stores regularly, but for brief amounts of time during the day.
Right.
So that we would go with her to her treatment. But overall, I think it's important to be there every day. Sometimes you hear about different leadership principles and they seem great on paper, but you don't really see them in action. But I would say servant leadership is so important to me. I would not hesitate to pick up a mop or open a register if it was busy in that store, to make sure that our customers are taken care of.
Right.
But even more than that, that our employees feel like we're all on the same team. I'm not above anybody when I'm in our stores.
It's that work with concept.
Yep.
Exactly.
Working with
Exactly.
I'm the
other
same
people.
way. I'm the same way. I love
Yeah.
it.
Now we're gonna move on to the next segment, which is the legend. So we already talked about the blueprint, and when you look at a blueprint, you have the legend. It's in the bottom. It's kind of like the key that gives you the details of what goes into the blueprint. Kind of get down to the nitty gritty stuff. So that's what we're gonna do now. We're just gonna ask you a couple questions. The first question that I have for you would be, what kind of books did you read, or what people were you listening to get into the that mindset that it takes to even do what you do, be a franchise owner?
Wow. Well, I read a lot of leadership books
Okay. Leadership.
coming up, but I can't think of one off the top of my head that really stood out right now. But it really is about communication and listening to your employees and doing the right thing for them. If you take care of your employees are going to take care of your customers.
Right.
And so I think that a lot of leadership and communication books are all about that. Like you said, working together. We're all on the same page. So for me, that really resonated with me when I heard that message from books or podcasts that I had listened to.
Gotcha.
And the question that it resorts back to when I think about my students, right? Especially students who go here at CSN, UNLV, Nevada State, but in particularly my student entrepreneurs who are part of Blackstone, who want to own multiple businesses, who want to franchise, right? What would be your piece of advice to them, and to what would be the first steps you would advise them to be being in this program with us? What steps would you tell them to, like, hey, if you're really thinking about franchising, this is where you should start?
Well, one thing that I think is really important, that I think it's good for everybody, but especially if you want to get into business, is build good credit. Because I mean, even if you're not looking at a bank to maybe get funds, that kind of sends a message to those that you're dealing with in terms of trying to get funding in some way. That tells something about you if you have good credit.
Right.
Obviously, I think that's really important. I just can't stress that enough. I mean, for us, with franchising is a weird one. Sometimes you can get easy financing, sometimes you can't, based on the franchise. 7-Eleven was not supported in that way. In the SBA's view, 7-Eleven wasn't considered a small business because they at one time they were really involved in the daily operations. All of our payroll went through 7-Eleven system. They didn't. SBA felt like, well, you're just really part of a bigger organization in that way.
Gotcha.
That's changed, and now 7-Eleven is recognized as a small business by the SBA.
Okay.
So your credit score is important, even with the SBA, to be able to get financing.
Good financing.
To build your business or to start out with that first location. Really just learning about business in general as well, like you're doing. Building a business that you can like build on is really important too. Starting small is is really starting big as well. It's really business really builds on itself, no matter what it is. And so even the smallest type of, I mean, I don't even know. In my view, I think any business is big.
Yeah,
you know,
right.
it's really about
Love that.
what your passion is and what you're putting out into that world. And I wouldn't want to suggest that anything's minimal compared to anything
I
else. But just kind of taking that leap of faith in yourself too.
Right.
You know.
And then but the last question I have for this segment for you would be, with having that faith, the networking piece. I also believe when it comes to building your brand, building your business, there has to be a sense of faith of also networking and maintaining those relationships. Can you sorry, could you go into detail about that too? As how did your relationships help the success of your businesses over the years?
Well, I can't say enough about building that community support. That's always really important. Take care of the community that you're in, and they will take care of you. For us, also, we got involved in a few different chambers of commerce.
Yes,
I think that those are excellent sources of information and certainly networking. They brought us relationships that we wouldn't have known otherwise.
Right.
And again, take care of your people, your employees. And there's a certain amount of networking involved with that. You know, when they come in on their off time with their family or whatever, you get to know them too. And then they suggest, oh, my cousin's looking for a job. Can you help them? Whether it's at your store, you call up somebody else that you know that's a business owner because you were, you networked within the 7-Eleven organization or your chamber. I mean, that's your golden opportunity to really get yourself out there and also understand what other people need and how you can help with that. So networking is really, for us, I can't stress that enough for anybody who's in business.
Sounds good. No, for one, Amy, thank you so much for coming on the show. You gave us a plethora of knowledge and wisdom that our students and our audience can take on, especially as a student, because I think the networking piece is something a lot of students struggle with.
Yeah.
Because front face value, a lot of students, some students, I wouldn't say all, but some students struggle with really networking. They just stick to the same, and instead of trying to branch out, right?
It's a bit of a social anxiety.
The anxiety, it's really rough, and
I can see that because if you feel like I'm just getting into business, maybe I don't know, and I don't want to sound like I don't know something, but no, you always have something to lend to the conversation.
I think that's the biggest thing that I think people have always been more receptive to me because I was okay. I was always cool. Teach me something.
Yeah.
Right.
And they were like, "Oh, he's teachable. I'm good with teaching you." And then it just grew over time. And that's something that I've always tell people. I'm like, it's okay if you don't know everything. People are more willing to teach someone who doesn't know anything than someone who thinks he knows everything.
Yep. Amen.
And that's why I asked that question to you because not a lot of people really don't understand how networking and not even just networking, but those relationships are super important.
Yeah.
And thank you for giving us so much to think about too. Not even just for the audience, but for us to talk about too. So
definitely learned a lot today.
thank you.
Great.
And we want to go into the last segment with a happiness by toasting to a happy hour. So with this segment, we're going to give a toast to success. And ask what is going on, something great in your lives that's worth celebrating. So we're going to take a toast to that.
All right.
We're drinking ginger ale.
Ginger ale.
I think you have water?
Yep.
Yep.
Stay hydrated.
Dehydrated. So what's going on something great for you? And we'll all share too. What's something going on great for you that's worth sharing?
Well, we sold all of our stores.
Yes.
And
Congratulations.
yeah, the last one was in September. All 3 stores to new entrepreneurs, new franchisees in the 7-Eleven system.
That's great.
So I'm proud of that.
Congratulations.
Yeah, and all 3 are doing really well. We have great relationships with them. So that to me is seeing my business come full circle.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
And the fact that you paved the way for that, you and Tom, salute to you both.
Thank you.
And I think it's very important for people, especially good business practice. paving it forward. So salute to you.
Thank you.
Definitely.
Salute to you. Cordon, how about you?
Let's see what's going on good right now. It's always good to be, here with you guys, and definitely every time we get a new guest, I'm definitely glad I was here today to listen to all the wisdom that you gave us, and just happy to be here and keep learning and keep growing.
Thank you, man. Most definitely. And I would have to say for myself, what's going on good for me? I'm in my last year of my doctorate program, so there you go.
That's a big deal.
It's a beautiful. I see the
Yes.
light, and
It's almost there.
It's right there.
Yeah, you're right there.
It's right there. So, toast to you all. Toast to you all.
Cheers.
Yes. Toast at the end. Bow. If there's anyone that would look to get advice for you, or to even to be mentored by you on business or any aspect, how could they reach you?
Oh, great question. I'm on LinkedIn,
Camera right there for
Facebook,
you.
Twitter, all those. I didn't just look up my name, Amy Carvalho.
Yes.
My email address is public through the Nevada System of Higher Education. Look for Board of Regents. My email address and my cell number are there. Happy to talk to anybody about business ownership and how I can help.
Thank you. We can't thank you enough. Again, thank you so much for coming on to the show.
Thank
Cordon.
you.
Thank you. Thanks for coming through.
Yeah.
Thank you for, like I said, although I learned so much in this short time that we've been here,
great.
but thanks again for coming through.
Yes, thank you so much for having me.
Of course.
It was my pleasure. It really
Of-
was.
Of course, and thank you again. And we have to thank Tom too. Tom's not on
That's
camera,
right.
but we want to thank you, Tom.
Shout out to Tom.
Shout out to Tom. And on behalf of the Business Information Buffet Podcast, also known as the Big Cop Podcast, where everybody eats, I'm your host, Sean Torrey, and our other host, Cordon Allen, and we'll see you all next time. Thank you all so much. Have a great one.